to show you how to hang a vintage mirror that doesn't have any of the clips or any hooks on the back. Yeah, so first I'm just going to trace out what I think the mirror would look like. So the areas that are crossed off are wood, and the rest you should imagine it to be a mirror. So this is the front side, this is the front side that you'd obviously be looking at yourself. First thing I would do is, if I have a blanket, I would put it on the floor to work with. In this case, I only have cardboard. And the only reason I would do this is to protect the front so that I'm not scratching the floor or the frame. There's a couple different ways to hang a mirror if it doesn't already have any hooks on it. So I'm going to gather a few materials. First would be these that you can purchase at Home Depot, and a pen or a pencil. A drill would be preferable, but if all you have is a screwdriver, it's still doable. Measuring tape. My instinct would be to put one hook here and one hook here. I just want to make sure that they're level, so I'd measure roughly, okay, so we're at 4 inches, and then 4 inches. I'd want to stay pretty close to the edges because you've got your frame that is only a certain thickness. So my example is 7/8 wide. You're going to want to just check what the thickness of that frame actually is on the actual mirror that you have. The reason you want to do this is so that the screws that you have don't go through and hit the mirror on the other side. Once you've measured your distance from the top, I always like to make things centered, so I would check my measurement from the side. So 7/8 divided by 2 is 7/16. Okay, so now that you've marked where you want to put your screws with a little plus sign, I'll show you first how to hang it with these hooks, and then I'll show the other idea that I had that could potentially work. Probably. Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay. A nice thing about doing this on the floor is that you're going to be able to use your body weight if you're using a screwdriver. Make sure to apply a lot of pressure at first while you're turning, and then you're just going to want to screw it in. Depending on the material that you have, it could be harder, it could be easier. It's definitely best to apply as much pressure downward as you can, so that when you are turning it, you're actually pushing it in rather than just spinning it in place. Alright, so this kit came with 2 screws, but I mean, for this you don't really need it. For your mirror, you're probably going to need it. But sorry, I'm just not doing that again. And then the next step that you would do is hang it. Alright, so the second option is to take other screws, not these ones, but pan head is preferred. If you don't know the difference between pan head. Okay, so these are countersunk screws. Countersunk screws have a tapered top so that you can put them into the wood and they can sit relatively flush to your surface once complete. A pan head is meant to grasp and clamp the wood rather than sink into it. In this situation, actually, the pan head is what you need. You could get longer screws, but you want to be careful and make sure that you're not going in too deep and that it's coming out through the front. So the easiest way The easiest way to check if your screw is too long is to literally just hold it against your material and see where it's going to land once you've screwed it in. So here, I'm going to use the same screws. I'm going to put them in and let them protrude just a tiny bit. And then you could get literally any piece of rope or wire. I'm just going to use this for the sake of presentation. And then what you would do is you would just tie it around the screws. And since it's wire, I'm just going to clamp it down. So the only thing you want to make sure while you're doing this is that when your string is attached to the wall, it's not going past the mirror and then becoming visible. I mean, unless that's a look you want, I don't think that'll look too good. So I'm just spinning this. I wish I had better wire to demonstrate with, but I don't. I've just spun the wire. If you had string, tie knots, if you had a thinner wire that held its shape a lot better, you could probably wrap it around the screw a few times, tighten the screw until it clamps, and then it should be fine. So right now the way it is it would hang from this wire and the screws would serve as hooks. So in this scenario, you would hang a screw to the wall and you would make sure that your picture is centered, your mirror is centered to whatever you want, and just have it dangle from the wire. Another piece of advice is that if there's already holes in the mirror, there's a likelihood that using the same holes might not be strong enough because they've already been stripped. Or if you put a screw again inside, it won't hold. If your screw is thinner than the hole that's already been made, it won't be strong enough to hold your mirror, and you definitely don't want that falling on the floor. So don't use existing holes unless you really have to, or you can try it out and just try to pull the screw out, and if you can pull it out easily, then it's not gonna work. Yeah. And that pretty much does it. Don't forget to put anchors in the wall, and then you should be fine.